I am going to go ahead and get things started here. So welcome everybody. My name is Jenna Nilo. I am the Director of Marketing and Outreach with Illinois Digital Educators Alliance. Thank you so much for joining us today for our last bonus Wednesday webinar, IDEAcon Wednesday webinar. We of course will continue doing Wednesday webinars after our conference next month. But this is our last of our IDEAcon Wednesday webinar series. And Carrie is joining us today to talk about Google Slides beyond the presentation. So what are we going to be able to do with Google Slides besides just presenting? So in a minute, I am going to turn things over to Carrie. I apologize, my dog's going in the background. In a minute, I am going to turn things over to Carrie, but with my dog barking in the background, I'm going to do a few housekeeping items. So exactly, there you go. Number one, do me a favor and keep yourself muted. And as soon as I'm done talking, I'm going to do the same thing so that Gigi doesn't continue to interrupt us. But muting just obviously will give Carrie the opportunity to be the lead speaker here and not get interrupted by people's dogs and kids and stuff in the background. So please do that, and I'm going to start talking faster because she's going to keep going. And then my second thing is if you want to just go ahead and keep your camera off, then that way we don't see kids walking in the background or anything. If you want your kids walking in the background, then that's totally fine. But it generally just kind of keeps things a little bit more simple if we just go ahead and turn off those cameras. If you are looking for PDHs today, so you will get one professional development hour for joining us here today. So if you're looking for that, please keep an eye on that chat window at the end. And I will put that link to the PDH form in at the end. I'll also tell you that I'm putting it in, so I'll remind you to go look for it. But it will be a link, and we only do provide PDHs for live attendance. So you will have to click on that link and then go ahead, fill out the form. You'll get in, when you get the response from the Google form, it will have a link to your certificate of completion. And then you will also get an email with that link as well. So then you can kind of click on that link and or keep an eye out for the email. And I think that's it. Again, we do encourage interaction. So please, questions, comments, anything like that. If you know answers to something, please go ahead and put that in. One of my coworkers always likes to say the smartest person in the room is the room. So please don't hesitate interacting in that chat and helping everybody out there. I will also be keeping an eye on it, and as questions come up, I will periodically not interrupt, but I will pop in with Carrie and get those questions answered for you. So I think that's it. We are recording. Tomorrow, I will be sending you a link to the recording, a link to the presentation, which I'm also going to put in the chat in a second, and then a link to the chat file. I will have all of the links and everything, the URLs in it actually linked for you so that you will have all of that easily accessible. So look for that email tomorrow afternoon. And so without further ado, Carrie, I'm going to turn things over to you. Thanks so much for joining us today. I am actually going to stop sharing and then turn it over to you as well. So thanks.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming to my presentation. I know she said that she's going to put the link in the chat, but I did also want to show you right. Ooh, I moved my mouse. It is up here at the top, the tinyurl.com/slidesbeyondidea. That will give you this presentation as a view-only file. And so you are able to have the links and anything like that as view-only. With things view-only, feel free to make a copy of it and then be able to use it in your classroom. I do ask, because I do present these at other places, please don't ask for a edit to be able to edit. I won't give you edit access rights. I will just give you the copy so you can make your own copy or view only. But I am Kari Moulton. I am a 4th through 6th grade technology teacher at Bourbonnais Elementary School District 53 in Bourbonnais, Illinois, which is about an hour south of Chicago. So right now I teach 4th through 6th grade technology, and then I'm also the educational technology coach. So in a normal school year, which, you know, that happened years prior, I would teach in the morning for part of the day, and then I tend to go to the other buildings, our K-3 buildings, to help with integrating technology. This year, I kind of do it all at once. So while I'm teaching, I'm helping everyone else, and I've really helped the remote teachers this year just get on board with everything. And I'm also a Google certified trainer. So let's go ahead and get started. Just a few things. So first, if you were to know me, then you know that my favorite Google product is slides. Everything I do is slides. If you are one of the teachers in my district that I work with and you ask me how to do something or how can I do something, more than likely I'm going to tell you how to do it in a slide. I just love slides. There's just a lot of reasons because it's not just the presentation. You can do so much, which is what we're going to talk about today. But a few things that I have make my slides even better. So I'm actually going to get out of this mode and kind of work here. But one of the things that I love is the add-on Stir Links a lot. It is linked here to get it. But if you look at the top of my screen, this little guy right here, which kind of looks like a detective, if you click on it, it changes any Google product. I only use it for slides to one of these 4 options. So you can make it a forced copy, preview, template, or PDF. Why is this so special? Well, if I wanted to make a forced copy, which would make, if you clicked on the link, it comes up and says, make a copy. In order to do that, I would have to take the URL at the top, delete part of it, and then write the word copy. Well, no one ever remembers what they're supposed to delete. So this does it for you. So if I click force copy, it changes the URL for me. Then if I copy it to my clipboard, all I need to do is open up a new tab and paste it here. And it's going to come up as a copy document. Do I want to make a copy of this document? That's the same for the rest of these. So if I change it to the preview, it's going to come in the presentation mode. PDF. So no more having to figure out what part of the URL I need to delete. It does it for me. So I love doing this for it's super helpful for me to use that. The second thing that I love is Lightshot. Lightshot, we are Chromebook school district, so primarily everyone, actually not primarily, everyone K through 8 have Chromebooks, including the teachers. And that's like for the longest time has been my device that I work on. I don't usually use a desktop. I don't use anything else. I use my Chromebook. Lightshot is actually the best way to get screenshots on a Chromebook. And I actually call it the purple feather because the extension up at the top looks like a purple feather. And so when you click it, it'll come up as a new tab and you'll get this select area and you decide what you want or how much of the page you want. So I just click and drag to what I want. Then the other thing that I like about it is I can add arrows. So I use this if I'm pointing things out and taking pictures for maybe a how-to. I can draw a box around it. I can kind of do whatever I want. Then I have options down here to save it or to copy it. Sometimes I just copy it. So I click the copy button. Then on my slides, I'll go to paste. And sometimes it's a little slow for me. I go and it pastes it for me. I usually use the save image when I want something to be the background, which we'll talk about. Another one of my favorite things about Google Slides, and you've probably heard about it, is Mania. Mania is a website, and it is free Google Slide backgrounds. A little backstory if you didn't know, but Paula, the lady that runs Slide Mania, she's from, oh, now I can't remember. She's not from the United States. She does not live in the United States. But she has no educational background. She's actually like an accountant, and she makes slide backgrounds as a hobby, and she gives them to us for free. All she asks is that you give credit. And so she's done amazing. And when the pandemic came out and all this with COVID-19, she's made so many slide backgrounds and templates. She's made choice boards and weekly planners and all kinds of different backgrounds, and they're all for free. It's so cool. And so she does an amazing job, and so I love using her. Actually, the slide deck that I'm using right now is one of hers. 9 times out of 10, the slide decks I'm using are all hers because it's awesome. The last one that I like is, this is new. It's full screen interactive. So think about this. You know, you want to share your screen with your students, but you want to stay in the edit mode. The problem is you don't want them to use all of this extra stuff that's on the background. You don't need them to see that. You want them just to focus on the slides. So and it's an extension. I can go up a little piece right here. It is right here. So if I click on it, it kind of takes that extra stuff, and I still have it, but it makes the screen bigger. So this is really nice. So that way, when you're working with your students, either in person or remotely, you can have your whole entire screen that you want them to see, but still have access to some of that extra stuff. And then you just hit escape to get out of it. Now, sometimes it does just kind of hang out like this, and I do hit refresh to get me back to the regular slides. The last thing, and this is one I just added because I just found out about it about, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, is a add-on to Google Slides, and it's super cool. And this, I think, would be really helpful if you were doing remote or in person, but either way. So this one is called DrawP for schools, and it's an add-on. So what if you didn't know, add-ons go up to on Google Slides, go up to add-ons. And normally, if you don't have it, you're going to go down to get add-ons. And as soon as it loads, it's always so slow whenever I need it to be. You would search for DrawP. Oops. And you want the DrawP for school. Now you would click on it and you would have a blue bar that would say install. Have it installed.
Hey, Carrie. Hey, Carrie. Hey, Carrie.
Yes.
You are breaking up. I thought it was just me, but I'm getting messages from people that they're hearing breaking up as well.
Okay. Let me see.
Sorry.
No, I thought it was moving really slow too. So we're going to do this. Hold on. We're going to take a little field trip. Oh, hold on 1 second. I'm going to move closer now. I'm going to move closer to my router. Okay, does that seem to be a little better?
It seems to be better. Yeah, I'm sorry when it happens again.
No, that's fine. Is it doing better?
It's doing better. And then I guess, you know what, if it happens again, maybe we'll have you turn your camera off as you continue presenting, because maybe that'll help as well. So.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay. I'll be quiet now. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. So this DrawP for schools add-on, I'm going to open up a new slide because it does not like presentations that are shared with millions of people. But what it looks like is, once it loads, all right, it's coming. Okay, so when you have it installed, you go to add-ons, And you go to, now they have a language scaffolding tool, but that actually costs money. I really just like the graphic organizer templates, which are the free ones. So I click on that and a side panel opens, and you have the choice to change the language for English or Spanish under these organizers. And then you have a list of organizers, and actually you can have it pick a theme. So you have comprehension, you have flow, you have maps. And then all you do, you don't have story. All you need to do is you just find the one you want and you click on it, and it will insert it into your presentation ready to type and answer. So I thought this is a really great idea. Like, again, you can use this in person or remotely to have great organizers, because we all could use those. Let me tell you, I hate creating my own when I don't need to. So that's just one of those. All right, so let's get into the nitty gritty. So with your Google Slides, some things that you want to do in your slides, you want to make pieces not move. We've all seen it where we've had different things. You've put on this beautiful presentation, you send it to your kids or get activity, and they move various things, okay? Case in point, the example that I love to tell you, show everyone is the Venn diagram. Because you make a Venn diagram, you take your circles and you make them. So I'm going to do the one, and then I'm going to do the other, and I'm going to make it so it's going to be awesome. And I make it transparent. Okay, and so I send this to my students, and what happens? They take it, and their Venn diagram ends up like this. Happens all the time. So how do we make it so it doesn't move? Well, there's two ways to do that. One way is to use the master view. The master view is where you can design your slides and you put things that you do not want to move. So how to get there is you go up to your top and you click View and you click Master. Anything you do in here is now on the master template and will not move. So I don't want to put information on here or maybe a picture that I need them to drag if I want them to move it. I only put items I don't want. So I'm going to go down here. So this blank one here. So now let's do the Venn diagram this way. So if I do a Venn diagram, so I do my circle. Now make it transparent. Okay. Now I'm not going to edit text boxes because sometimes when I've added text boxes in my master, it doesn't allow them. So now I'm going to go back to I'm going to click over to the side and I'm going to go back to my presentation. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here. Normally, if I'm adding a new slide, I hit the plus sign. Next to it is a little triangle. And if you click on that triangle, you have the master, or you have the slide. So I can pick on this one right here, which is the one I just did. And look, they don't move. So now I could add text boxes with a type here. And oops, it's ready to go. But the kids can't, they can move the text boxes, but that's it. So that's what I kind of mean with View Master. You also could make it a JPEG. So what you could also do is you could download your slide that you want, design it, make it the best that you want. So if this is the one I want it, I'm going to put it here. And then where it says click to add title, I'm going to say Venn diagram. I'm going to add a text box here and say, we'll just say slides. And I'm going to kind of angle it, move it down. Make another one for over here. We'll compare slides and, ooh, we'll do slides and Jamboard. And then we can also put one in the middle. Okay, so I have it. This is exactly what I want. This is what I don't want moved. So then what I can do is I can go to File, Download, and I'm going to download it as a JPEG or PNG. And then once I download it, put in my downloads, it only downloads that one slide. I can add a, we'll just add this one here, but change the background. So I went up to background. I'm going to hit change background. I'm going to find my file that I did, which is in my downloads. And it didn't, I lost it. Let's try that again. I don't know why it didn't work. Choose my image. I feel like I'm still delayed a little. Actually, yeah. Okay, let's, I promise it works, but for whatever reason, it's just not working for me. Why is this being, isn't it always where it doesn't work when you need it to work? Let's do this screenshot. Oh, you know what? It's hidden behind that. I can see it. So that's part of the background from the ViewMaster. Normally it doesn't work because this is a slide background or slide Mania. That's why. So it's just in the background. You can see it. But that's how that works. And so then nothing would be movable. So that's the difference between that. So when you are thinking about different things and making your items, your Google Slides to do different things, you want to think about doing the master or JPEG to make things not movable. The other thing that I tend to do with a lot of my Google Slides that I'm not presenting is changing the size. If you go to File and then scroll down to Page Setup, you can change your Google Slide to anything. It doesn't have to. If you go to Custom, I love going to 8.5 by 11. So now it's a full page. So now when I'm working with something or I have that, I can change it and it works right. It's that page and my students have more room to work. And I'm like frozen. Let's see. I'm going to turn my camera off for a second. Okay. Oh, there we go. So you can see that before I reload it, you can see that it changed. So we'll reload it. There we go. This is really helpful because I love making my Google Slides into different things like a gift certificate, not a gift certificate, like a certificate for my students. I don't need to go buy one anymore. I have access to it. So this one was actually one that one of my basketball coaches, when I previously to being a 4th through 5th, 6th grade technology teacher, I taught 7th grade history. And so the 7th grade language arts teacher was the basketball coach. And so we worked together to make this template for his certificates. So basically we made the background and all the information, you print it out. And then by making it 8.5 by 11, you don't have to worry about printing on slides and having that extra white space. It takes the whole page, which is really nice. The other thing that I like doing, making it 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 8.5 is to make a newsletter. And so I have a template With Google Slides, you can layer so many things and insert pictures and hyperlink. And so this was just a template I made for when I went into coaching to kind of send out each week on some tech tips. So I kind of made myself a placeholder of information. And I could add pictures, I could add links. And the nice thing about it is I could then download it as a PDF and I can send it out that way. So I could send this to parents or I could send this to teachers. And any links that you have, and when you download it as a PDF, they still work. So you just go to File and Download as PDF, and you have it just like that. Or you could also go to the link of Sir Links a Lot, but this is nice to have it downloaded because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be sent off to people. So it's a little bit easier to send off that way than a link. So I love making my Google Slides into newsletters. Again, I can add images, I can insert links to those images, and it's all right there regardless of how I send it or not. One of my favorite things to do with Google Slides is make interactive assignments. So a couple of things that I've made is writing. So I started out small. So I will kind of skip ahead. Eric Kurtz has an amazing, so I first found his Build a Jack-o'-lantern, and this was so much fun to do, and I continue to do it with my 1st grade and 2nd grade classrooms, and it's all in Google Slides. And so there's a link right here for his slide template to use. It's free, but he has a pumpkin on the first slide. And then he has all these different items that the students can decorate their jack-o'-lantern with. This was perfect because it was building the students' copy and paste skills. So they would copy and paste the different things onto their jack-o'-lantern. And then they had a space where they had to write about their jack-o'-lantern. So I started doing this like 2 or 3 years ago, and my teachers and students loved it in the 1st and 2nd grade classrooms. So then in November, I had to come up with another idea. So I actually came up with the Build a Turkey. So I kind of took Eric's ideas and expanded it to a turkey. And I actually used and drew the turkey. And then took and combined with his, added some feathers, and then took some of the eyes and feet and masks that would go really, and hats that would go really well with the turkey. And then same thing, they had to write a sentence about it. So kind of continuing to build on that. Well then, because again, they were like, oh, you have to come back. We went to a gingerbread house. Now this was a little bit different. Because I figured, okay, I've been with you for 2 times. You kind of know your copy and pasting skills. How can I expand it? So for this one, what I did is I actually gave them a blank page. And on the 4th page, I gave them shapes. And I said, using these shapes, you need to build your own gingerbread house. It was so cool to see how students took these shapes and made their own houses. And then I also gave them different decorations to decorate it with. And then we expanded and said, okay, now you're not just writing a sentence, you're writing a story about your gingerbread house. So we had different things like that, that kind of created this interactive where they're working and creating their own, but still working on their tech skills. So I also then thought, well, we could easily make this a back to school thing where they could write about why they're excited to come back to school. But what I wanted to do is add a little fun and show them how to take a picture of themselves. So I was going to make it. So this is make a copy. And what they would do is they would have to finish the sentence. I'm excited to come back to school because. And then we're going to teach them how to take a picture of themselves. So they would go up to insert, they would go to image, they would go to camera, and they would take a picture of themselves. And so then they would insert that picture. Well, we would talk about how it wouldn't fit. So what we would do is we would learn how to crop the image. So and we always say when the blue square is around it, then you can go up and crop the image and change it so that I'm going to do it this way since the button's in my way, so that it fits. So you can kind of move it in, and I teach the kids how they should always, how to make sure it's proportional and different things like that to then fit it into the bus. And so then they would have a picture of them. You could even send it out with the teacher already on driving the bus, and the students would be on the in the back of the bus. So super fun, interactive that way. I did do this last year. Luckily, I was able to get a couple of my classes in on building a leprechaun, or if I were a leprechaun, before we closed and went remote. But this one is kind of the same premises of the bus. Is they had to decide if they were a leprechaun, what they would do, and they would take a picture and put themselves in the face right here, showing you the same way. They would take a picture of themselves, paste it there, and then write, if I was a leprechaun, what would you do? But besides that, you can also make your worksheets interactive. So all you need is a PDF, and what I like is Lightshot. So this came idea last year when I had a special ed teacher, and we're all on remote, and she goes, well, how do I take this example and use the computer? And so this was the example that she had. She had this PDF, and this would be a normal worksheet that the kids would cut and paste, right? They'd cut out the words and paste them where they would belong, okay? So what we did is, using Lightshot, I first took and made the background. Okay, so I used my Lightshot and screenshotted the background that I needed. Then I screenshotted every single one of the words. And now it's an activity for the students. So this quick cut and paste is now something that they can do online. So they can do the same thing. Zane got up from his, I got to find the word nap. And I'm going to click and drag it over. Get me the, what word? Oh, that's map. And then down here, it says, I've read it 3 times, and I have a little circle that the students would just click and drag for each time. Now they would have 3 of them, but that's the way they kind of made it interactive. It's no longer has to be on paper. This example came from actually my son's 3rd grade teacher. Last year, they had to do their grammar on line. And so she just took a picture of the worksheet. You can do this, like we have copy machines at our school that we can scan it and it turns it into a PDF. You can take a picture with your phone. There are various ways to make a PDF. And then she added a bunch of circles. And so the directions were circle the adjective in each sentence. And so all they had to do was drag the circle to the correct adjective. I added sound, and this is direction. So if I click it,
read each sentence and move the red circle to the adjective. Remember, an adjective describes a noun. It comes immediately before the noun.
So that's using audio. So you can insert your own audio that you have recorded as long as it's in your Google Drive. So that's just another way to make something interactive. You could also make it simple and I did this when I taught history, a matching. All I did was put the vocab words on one side of the slide. I put the definitions on the other side of the slide. And I said, use the line tool to match the word to the vocab. So they click on the line, the bloodiest single day battle in US history, and they did it just like that. And then they go on to the next one. So easy ways to make your your activities more interactive. When I started doing this,
Sorry, Carrie,
That's
was
okay.
me. There's a few questions, and of course the dog's yelling at the kids outside.
Yes.
So first of all, and I know you explained this, so I just want you to show it again. Somebody responded about one of your worksheet examples. I think it was the one for where they were dragging and dropping the words.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, this is cool. I'm so sorry. This is cool. How do you get the link for the assignment that students select, but how does it automatically give the option to make a copy? And I know you showed that with, I think it was your Sir Links a lot.
Yes.
So if you want to just show that again real quick.
Yeah, so so this is my end result. So let's open the end result, and I want to send this to students. I can do this one of two ways. If I use Google Classroom in my classroom, I would send it out that way, which is what I use. I would send it out that way and make a copy for every student. Maybe you don't have the access that way. You could also use Sir Links a lot, which is that extension at the top that's on one of the first slides. And I can just choose force a copy. And this, then I would take, I just like to click the copy link to clipboard. That link I send to students, and as soon as they open it, it forces them to make a copy. So if I paste it, it's going to say make a copy for them to make that copy. And you could do that with any of your activities. I personally like sending things through Google Classroom because then I have it in one spot and I don't have to worry about getting it back. But that is a great way to do it that way.
And then the other question before you move on, and I know it was the last one, can you explain how to do a voice record?
Yes.
I think you had that.
And I wanted to see if, I don't know if I have it. Okay. Oh, I do. Okay, we'll skip to this one because one of the other things that I love with Google Slides, this is a great segue. I'll come back to the other, is books with audio. So you can create a book, okay? And I have examples we'll show you, but what I like to use, and I use it because primarily, again, I use not Google Classroom, I use Chromebooks, is online voice recorder. If you click this link or even Google it, it comes up to this page right here. And literally all you have to do is push the button to record. So I can record my topic, whatever I need to say. When I'm done, I hit stop. The other thing I like about this is play it, the button to record. So I can record. You know how anytime you have, you say, okay, we're going to record to a student, and then you hit the record button, and then they stop talking for a few seconds? This allows you to adjust. Okay, so you can kind of adjust it. So if you have a lot of dead at the beginning and you want to cut that out, you can, or at the end. Then I hit save. Now, the thing with inserting audio into your slides, it has to be in your drive. Okay, so you have to save it into your Google Drive, and it has to be an MP3. So I'm going to change this to test recording. I'm going to go up to insert. So I'm in my Google slide. I'm going to go to insert. I'm going to go to audio. Now, a lot of times it's the first one that comes up. So I click it. I hit select. And now it's right there. And I hit the play button to record. So I can record my topic, whatever I need to. And it's right there. You do have options on the side where if you wanted to play automatically or on click, and if you want to loop the audio. I do love this for, let me just show you this was the first example that I came up with. And my son, my oldest son, I have two boys, is a huge NASCAR fan. And a huge Jimmy Johnson fan. So when audio first came out, I was like, oh, how cool would this be to use audio for kids to do presentations? So they love being my guinea pigs, and they love when they can get to be in mom's presentations. So I made him do his own presentation. So these pictures has audio hidden behind it, and all you have to do is hit play.
Jimmy Johnson was born in California on September 1975. Jimmy has won 7 NASCAR title championships. Jimmy drives the number 4080 for Hendrick Motorsports.
Now, as a mother, I was like, oh, you are so going to re-record that because that's not what I want. But then as a teacher, I realized I would get that, so I left it. So that's just an example of how the audio is on click. I had to click it to start it. This other example is a book that plays automatically. You have to hit enter, but it kind of works. For the lack of time, I'm going to not show that, but you have examples to that. One thing that I will tell you is you have to make sure that you share the audio, because if I don't share the audio or make it so anyone that has the link has access to it, if I share this out to you guys, you wouldn't have access to that audio. There is an access checker coming from Google where when you go to share your presentation, it's going to be like, hey, this needs to be shared as well, and it will do that. But that's how to insert audio. Okay, so a couple other things. These are just other interactive assignments where kind of doing more of feelings, where you have zones of regulations where the kids drag their, maybe the feeling to what zone it is. I had to do a presentation for a group of social workers, so these were geared more to that. This was how are you feeling? This is actually from Teach, Create, Motivate. She created this, and it has emojis on the side that they drag and then say why they feel. I came up with a calming room where there were different things that the kids could kind of go to, because with COVID, we can't always go to those calming rooms and have those tools that we normally used to have. And then also this one is just a matching example, kind of like the one I showed earlier. So you can also use slides for discussion boards. So this one I liked using, like if you were reading a book. I know that sometimes on Zoom or on Google Meets, trying to have a discussion with kids, it's like sometimes pulling teeth. No one wants to talk. But if you created a discussion board and they had their responses, it may make them feel a little bit less of the stress and anxiety for talking because they have the answers. So using the ViewMaster and the making the non-movable pieces, I just made different layouts. So what's important for you. So when they're reading this, either a book or an article, what is important from the reading, they can mark that. What's a question they may have. And this would be more individual, where this one would be whole class. And again, this would bring up the topic of making sure that people are acting responsibly and respectfully online, and we're building communities and we're not saying inappropriate things, all that good stuff that all comes into this topic. But this one would be, how are you feeling today? And what the students would do is they would look at the different slides and see how they're feeling and take a shape to create their own. And so maybe they see, hey, someone's not, maybe someone's feeling silly and say, oh, I agree with that. Or maybe they're feeling sad and say, hey, I'm sorry you're feeling sad. Maybe this song will help you because it helps me, and kind of create that discussion. Last thing probably that we'll get to is the other thing that I love making with my Google Slides is agendas. So one thing that we do in our remote learning and actually in person is we kind of have these agenda slides that the students work off of and the teachers walk off of as well. I don't know if you guys have seen, or you probably have experienced, but with Google Meets or even Zoom, the more things that you have open, sometimes the slower it works. Zoom is and things like that, and it drags. So we kind of helped and told the teachers, put everything in one slide deck, and then you don't have to keep going back and forth or opening. It's all right there. So this is actually what the third graders did last year, teachers, and it was really nice. So they had everything. They had a checklist. They had their Zoom link. They had their math. Okay, so they had to do fact practice. They had a video. Here's the worksheet. Here's a challenge. Then they could go, then when it was reading time, they had everything they needed to do. It was all in one place. You could send this via Google Classroom. You could have them make a copy, and it's all right there. Then if they were absent, they still had it as well. You could also make a kind of planner, which again, I would probably not make a planner and recreate the wheel. I would probably go to Slide Mania and find one of hers. But if you have a planner that you use at school and the kids use and you want to have a digital one, you could easily make one that just has, okay, reading on Monday, what you're going to do, math, science, social studies, other, and the students would fill it out based on what you have filled out. The other thing with digital notebooks is, like I said, create a digital notebook or use one from Slide Mania, and then assign it to your students via Google Classroom or Schoology. Have them complete that work, and then they can take a picture of it and insert it into their digital notebook. So you can take any of the ones from Slide Mania, and if you have, say, maybe you send home a worksheet, or you have, hey, I need you guys to build a tower. Build me a tower and take a picture of it. And then they insert that picture into their slides on their digital notebook, and you have access to it. Also on Slides Mania, if you find one of her notebooks, you can replace the words that are on it. So let me show you as an example. So this was her digital ring binder. And she had, as soon as it loads, you can kind of see, and let me zoom in a little. Okay, so if I zoom in, over here, she has it Title D. Well, I don't want it to say Title D. I wanted it to say science, or I wanted to say social studies. So what I can do is I can go to, and now just totally blanked. What did I say it was? Use find and replace. I was like, what did I say the word was? And so find and replace is under edit. I go down to find and replace. I'm going to find any of the words that say title. And I want it Title D, and I want to write it and type it exactly how it's typed here. I want to replace it with the word social studies. Okay. If I want to match the case, however, and then I click either replace the one, I want to replace all of them. So I click replace all. And now anywhere that said file D now says social studies. So if I go to, let's scroll down. If I go down here, it still says social studies. Here is also an example of how, let me zoom out so it's not so big. Here's also an example of how I took a picture, like the student completed the work in his workbook, but he took a picture of it and inserted it into the slides. And so then you have access to it. I showed you guys the books with audio. Last but not least, I will do this last thing. I love playing games with my Google Slides. I've actually presented on this before about how to create games on Google Slides. And this links you right there to all of that. But one of my favorite ones to do is actually play Chutes and Ladders. And so what that looks like is I took the Chutes and Ladders. Actually, I didn't. Someone did it. I saw them do it, and I actually saw it at IDEAcon. It was not IDEAcon at the time. It was ICE, and we were back at Pheasant Run. I saw them do this, and I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. I want to do it. So they did it for science, and I then changed it to be for history. So each one of these boxes of the game board has another box, and it links them to a slide. And so then what the kids get to do is they work in groups, and they roll the dice, move their person to the right to box. They go to that box and they complete the assignment. I check it, and then they get to move on. So it's a great way to make it more interactive and fun. Okay. I know I just gave you guys a whole lot of information. Are there any more questions?
I think I've asked everything that was asked, but if anybody has anything, we do have a few minutes, so definitely throw those questions in the chat. I had some questions direct to me. If you don't like the answers I gave and you want to hear Carrie ask a question or answer the question, then please put those questions back in the chat. I won't be offended at all.
I will also say, I always, and I will put it up, at the end, I always leave my email, and you guys can actually, when Jenna, you send the emails tomorrow with the recording, you can also put my email in there. So I get it. You go to a presentation and you get flooded with so much information, and then like weeks later, you're trying to do something and you can't remember how it was done. So feel free to email me and reach out. I have no problem answering questions. I do it all the time for my own district. Actually, I've gotten really good at doing Loom videos and just doing how-tos. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me even afterwards. And I have no problem reaching out and giving you a new avenue of thought or direction.
Fantastic. There are a few questions, so
okay.
I'm going to start going through some of these. Somebody asked, can you give more examples of the games you made? But I know you had a few also linked in there.
Yes.
So I'm assuming they can kind of just check those out in the presentation.
Yeah, because I also did a Battleship. That was really fun. It was kind of a review game, but there's Battleship, Chutes and Ladders. We played Candyland or Choose Your Own Adventure. It's all right here to do that.
Perfect. Next question, can you explain on how to add to the gray area to the right of the slide? I'm assuming that's just the off-page ones.
Okay, you can put anything there. So if I want shapes, so I want a triangle, I'm going to just drag it right here. And there it is. There it is. And then when I send this to students or I make a copy to students, or I send it to them with through Google Classroom, it's still gonna be there. The only time they don't see it is when it's in presentation mode. You can have tons of information or things on this gray spot here, and in presentation mode, you will not see it, but in what I call this mode right here, edit mode, you can see it. And all you gotta do is just add it.
Perfect. How did you make the cut and paste worksheet digital again? So I'm going to assume that's going back to the
PDF. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I took it, and I think it's here. I screenshotted it. Okay. So I took a screenshot with Lightshot of the base. I inserted that. And then I also took the screenshot. And actually, now that I'm thinking of it, I believe I have a video on how to. I will add it to this presentation when we're done. So that way, when you get it tomorrow, or even if you come back to it, you will see the how-to video at a little bit slower than me trying to squeeze it all in 30 seconds.
Perfect. Okay, next question. How do you make a GIF? I was on a webinar today. It is GIF, in fact, and not GIF. They confirmed for us.
All right.
How do you make a GIF like on this last slide?
Okay, so I will be honest. I know how to do it for for iPhones only. And I have directions because I've gotten this question a lot that I will add to this as well. It involves taking kind of a live photo and using, it's not Remove BG, it's another one. I can't think of off my top of my head, but it's super fun. And this is what I did over the summer when I was working on this presentation instead of actually writing the presentation. So I'll add that one as well.
Awesome, because you actually got, as I'm scrolling through, we've gotten that question more than once.
Yes.
Somebody said, how do I add a moving face or animal? Maybe that's the GIF thing again. I can't think of what else that would be except maybe a GIF.
I will tell you that you can, if you go to Google and you search, if I search elephant and I go to images, and you go to tools and you go to type, you can choose GIF. And then if they are, it's like, I'm assuming this one's the tail swooshing. So I found the easiest way is to like, sometimes it works if I just copy and paste it, but sometimes I have to save it and insert it that way. And then I've also found that sometimes GIFs don't always work in edit mode, but they work in present mode. It's weird like that.
Good. Let's see here. Oh, a few people have asked for the link to the presentation. I will put that back into the chat again in a minute. But I also will be posting the PDH information as well in a second. So Carrie, I'll let you wrap up and then I'll wrap up.
Okay. Basically, I just want to say thank you. Feel free to reach out. Here is my email. Here is the link to the presentation. I know it'll come back. I will add those two things to this presentation. So if you grab the link, probably later tonight, after I eat dinner and cook and all that, you know, mom stuff, I will add those two things and then it'll be there. But for sure, when you get the presentation tomorrow, it will, in the email, it will be there as well. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night.
Fantastic. I am going to steal the share.